The Afghan War, 2001-2021, a costly battle of nations. Voiceover. For 2 decades, Afghanistan was the battleground of one of the longest wars in modern history. A war that started as retaliation for 9/11 but turned into an unwinnable conflict. This is the story of the Afghan War, its human cost, weapons used, assets lost, and its final, chaotic end. The beginning 9/11 and U.S. invasion 2001-2002, September 11, 2001. Terrorist attacks kill nearly 3,000 people. U.S. launches Operation Enduring Freedom on October 7, 2001. Taliban government collapses by December, but key leaders escape. Casualties. Taliban. 10,000 plus killed estimated. U.S. and allies. Less than 100 killed in initial invasion. Weapons used. Tomahawk missiles, B-52 bombers, special forces, drone strikes. The rise of insurgency 2003-2009. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda regroup in Pakistan and rural Afghanistan. IEDs, improvised explosive devices, become the biggest threat. Suicide bombings, ambushes, and guerrilla warfare intensify. NATO joins the war in 2003. British, Canadian, and German troops arrive. Casualties. U.S. and allies. 1,500 plus killed by 2009. Afghan civilians. 8,000 plus killed, mostly in Taliban attacks. Taliban fighters. Estimated 15,000 plus killed. Assets lost. Hundreds of U.S. and NATO military vehicles destroyed by IEDs. $100 billion spent by 2009 on the war effort. Weapons used. MQ-1 Predator drones, Apache helicopters, M4 rifles, Humvees. The surge and escalation 2009-2014. Obama's troop surge. 30,000 more U.S. soldiers deployed in 2009. Battles intensify in Helmand, Kandahar, and Kabul. SEAL Team 6 kills Osama bin Laden in Pakistan 2011. NATO hands over security to Afghan forces in 2014. Casualties. U.S. and allies. 2,400 plus killed by 2014. Afghan military. 15,000 plus killed. Taliban. Estimated 20,000 killed. Assets lost. 3,000 plus military vehicles destroyed. 100 plus aircraft lost, drones, helicopters, fighter jets. War costs surpass $1 trillion. Weapons used. Reaper drones, MRAPs, mine-resistant vehicles, F-16 jets, sniper rifles. The slow exit and Taliban resurgence 2015-2020. U.S. troops start withdrawing in 2015, but Taliban regains territory. Trump signs Doha Agreement 2020 with the Taliban, setting withdrawal terms. Taliban increases attacks despite the deal. Casualties. U.S. and allies. 500 plus killed between 2015-2020. Afghan security forces. 30,000 plus killed. Taliban. 25,000 plus killed. Afghan civilians. 10,000 plus killed. Assets lost. Billions spent training Afghan forces, but corruption weakens them. Large quantities of U.S. weapons captured by Taliban. Weapons used. Suicide bombers, RPGs, night vision equipment used by Taliban. The fall of Kabul and U.S. withdrawal 2021. August 2021. The Taliban rapidly captures Afghan cities. August 15. Kabul falls. President Ashraf Ghani flees. August 26. ISIS-K suicide bombing at Kabul airport kills 183 people. U.S. completes withdrawal on August 31, 2021. Casualties. Final U.S. death toll. 2,461 troops killed. Afghan civilians. 46,000 plus killed in 20 years. Afghan security forces. 66,000 plus killed. Taliban. 50,000 plus killed estimated. Assets lost. $7 billion in U.S. military equipment left behind, including Humvees, helicopters, and rifles. The aftermath. What was gained? Visuals. Taliban rule. Protests, Afghan refugees, analysis by experts. 20 years, trillions of dollars, thousands of lives lost. Taliban now rules Afghanistan again. Women's rights rolled back, terrorism concerns rise. Was it worth it? Ending scene and conclusion. Voiceover. 2 decades of war. So many lives lost. So much spent. And yet, Afghanistan is back under Taliban control. A war that started in 2001 as a mission to defeat terrorism ended in 2021 with more questions than answers. The cost of war. A detailed breakdown. Adding an investigative analysis segment. The total financial cost of the war. Over $2.3 trillion as per the Costs of War project. How was the money spent? $800 billion on direct war expenses, weapons, logistics, troop salaries. $85 billion on training Afghan forces, which collapsed in days. $500 billion on veterans' care and ongoing costs for injured soldiers. How does this compare to other wars? Vietnam War cost. $1 trillion adjusted for inflation. World War II cost. $4.1 trillion. But unlike World War II, the Afghan war ended without clear victory. The human cost. Veterans and PTSD. Exploring the lasting effects on soldiers and civilians. For U.S. veterans, over 30,000 suicides among Afghanistan and Iraq war veterans. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, affects 15 to 30% of returning soldiers. Many veterans feel the war was a waste after the Taliban takeover. For Afghan civilians, millions displaced due to conflict. A generation of Afghans born during the war now faces an uncertain future. The weapons of the war. What was used? Going deeper into the military technology used. U.S. arsenal. Drones. MQ-1 Predator, MQ-9 Reaper used for airstrikes. Aircraft. F-16 fighter jets, A-10 Warthogs, Apache helicopters. Ground vehicles. Humvees, MRAPs, mine-resistant ambush protected. Firearms. M4 carbines, M249 machine guns, Javelin missiles. Taliban and insurgent weapons. Captured U.S. weapons after withdrawal, Humvees, M4s, even Black Hawk helicopters. AK-47s, RPG-7s, IEDs caused 60% of U.S. casualties. Suicide bomb vests and car bombs. Could it have ended differently? An expert analysis segment questioning the war's strategy. Parallels to Vietnam. Hearts and minds. Strategy failed in both wars. U.S. relied on an unstable local government, which collapsed. Taliban's guerrilla tactics outlasted superior firepower, just like the Viet Cong.